Hey friends, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing a series review, just grabbing the books. Today we are doing a series review on the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. The first book being the 5th season, the second book being Obelisk Gate, and the third book being The Stone Sky. Guys, this series I was super intimidated by because of the way it's talked about. Obviously, it won the Hugo Award 3 years in a row. Every year a book was published, it won that award. That's super intimidating. The way people talk about it, the way they feel like they're just stupid because they don't understand what's going on in this book, or just that the way it's talked about. I was super intimidated by starting this series. I was like, I'm just not gonna understand. Her writing's gonna be too complicated. No. Her writing is digestible. It is so beautiful. It's not lyrical, it's not complicated. It's just, but it's not like overly simplistic. It's not like Sanderson where it's overly simplistic or anything like that, but it is kind of to the point. I don't know how to describe it exactly because I'm not a prose connoisseur. I don't know, but I couldn't put these books down. I finished this entire series in 2 weeks, pretty much. Like, I think it was 2 weeks. I know it was less than half a month. So I loved this series so much. So let's dive into a little bit about what this is about. It's going to be hard to explain because I don't want to spoil anything. So I'm going to try to explain this. This will be completely spoiler free, so don't worry about that. I don't want to talk about spoilers because I want people to read this book. So in the first book, the 5th season, we are following 3 different characters as they go through their life. We're following a child who is what's known as an origin, or the derogatory term of a raga. And she is basically being turned in by her family to the school for origins, and when she's at that school, she's abused horribly, physically, mentally, but it's a very dark time. I'm gonna preface this by saying I don't think this is a grimdark fantasy. I think there is some darkness in it. It's the end of the world, so it's pretty dark. And some of the things that happen to these characters is pretty dark and depressing, but I think is still fantastic time. The other character we are following, she is older in this school, and she is basically paired up with one of the higher ranking origins within this school to have a child, but they have to go on a mission together, and whilst on that mission they start to get to know each other. It is not a romance in any way or fashion, but they start to get to know each other more as friends, and they're trying to have this child together for this company. And within that time together, they kind of run away from the school and start to live kind of their own life, and some other things happen from there. And then the third perspective that we follow is you. This is told in the entire series is partially told in second person narrative. So that means that they say you are walking to the car, you are doing this, you are doing that. And I know that really throws some people off and they really don't like it. It did not bother me at all during this. And by the end of the series, you know why she has chosen to do that type of dialogue, do that type of storytelling. And it is great. I really love this series. And the you-ness just made it more unique and more interesting and more complex about why that is happening in that fashion. And I loved it so much. And the characters in this are truly fascinating, and they have such depth to them, and you understand them. You may not like them all the time, you may not like the decisions that they make, but you understand them. The second book, Obelisk Gate, you are still following the you character, but there is another character introduced, which is Yu's daughter. And you are following her journey through this world, and also her coming to grips with her abusive childhood that she went through, and why she had to live that life, why she doesn't like her mom, and what is going on there. You learn more about a character that you didn't that N.K. Jemisin makes you start to love a character you hated in the first book. And it's so good. This book is definitely developing. So the first book is world development all the way and character development all the way. That's what this is, for sure. There's plot, but there's not the big plot going on. Not fully. And then the second book, you are learning the magic system of this world, hardcore. That is what you are learning in this the entire time. The characters don't really move setting all that much, but you are learning about the magic the entire time during this, which kind of brought this down for me because it was a little boring. But it's still an amazing book. And learning about the magic is so fascinating. So basically, Origins manipulate the world around them so they can they can move they can move rocks, they can move mountains, they manipulate pretty much the earth. That's what they do. They manipulate the earth, and you're learning way more about that, what that actually entails, what they can actually do, the level they can sense the earth around them, they can sense living things around them and manipulate those things, and it is so fascinating. And that's what you're learning throughout this entirety of this book. And then in the third book, The Stone Sky, you really delve into the main plot line of this story, what we're doing, what our mission is, and it is so good. So pretty much throughout this entire series, the world is ending. They're in what's known as a 5th season. So they have the normal spring, summer, fall, winter seasons throughout the year, but then something will happen every century or so, every generation or so, that causes what's known as a 5th season, which is basically world-destroying phenomenon happening. Horrible earthquakes, ginormous tsunamis, like volcanoes exploding, which is what happens in this. Volcanoes exploding. It's like if Yellowstone were to explode, that it would cover the sky in ash and we would die. That's what's happened. And in this book, we are trying to stop the season. That is what's happening. That's not a spoiler. It's basically what's happening throughout the entire thing, but this one really goes into the plot, and we're on our mission to complete it. And it is so good. It is so good. This is my favorite book through the series, but that's because I'm a plot-driven reader. And you are still following the you perspective, and you are following the daughter's perspective, and we're in some other characters throughout the book, and it is so good. It is so good. The revelations throughout this are fascinating. The mission in general is fascinating, which you do learn about in the first book, but obviously this is where you're executing. And the ending was really great and really emotional, and it made me happy that it ended the way it did, that she decided to go that way with the ending. And obviously I'm not going to talk about it because, like I said, spoiler free series review is what this is. And all I have to say is, if you haven't read this, read it. Don't be intimidated. You will understand what is going on. It's not something that is overly complex, but the themes and the story and the magic are not just given to you. You have to work for it. So it's not intimidating. N.K. Jemisin's writing is not overly complicated. She just wants to tell her story, and it is a beautiful story, and it really makes you think about the state of our world and, you know, what we are doing to it. And I loved it so much. I really highly suggest this series. It's not quite a 5-star series, but it's right freaking there. Maybe it will be, maybe just give me a little bit of time away from it, and the more I think about it, it'll probably end up being a 5-star series, so it'll probably be that at the end of the year. I can't wait to read more of N.K. Jemisin's books. I love her writing. I want to read, I believe The Killing Moon is a duology that I would really love to read by her, and I can't wait to see what else she comes out with. So yeah, that's all I have to say about the Broken Earth trilogy. If you've read it, let me know what you think about it. If you haven't, has this convinced you to read it? And that's everything I got for you guys. Remember to like and subscribe, and have a wonderful day, guys. Bye.